Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again. This is just going to be hopefully a pretty short video. All I'm doing really is I just want to go over operator overloading with this. As you can see, I just have a very simple form here. I have person A, person B with first name, last name, and age. And then I have an output box. Then I have add, subtract, multiply, divide, equality, greater than, less than or equal to, a basic reset button, and an exit button. I have already defined, oops, I'm clicking on the wrong thing. I have already defined what these some of the very basic things do here. For instance, we already have a reset button defined and an exit button defined. I'll just kind of showcase that real quick. Okay, there's my form is on the wrong screen. Come up here. So there's my form, and if I just put any kind of stuff in here like so, like that, I can't click on that label, I can reset it and I can exit it. Very basic functionality set up at this point. So, you know, there's nothing really done yet, but I just kind of wanted to showcase a couple of quick things. There's the basic form here, so I have a button reset click and a button exit click event handler. I don't have the event handlers set for add, subtract, multiply, divide, or the equality operators, because that's what we're going to go over here. I do, however, have these two extra methods for create person A and create person B. Create person A just takes the text from text A first name, text A last name, and text age, and converts it into an integer for that last one, and then creates a new person with first name, last name, and age. I'm not going to worry about doing any, try parse or anything. I really just wanted this to be quick. So I put this together in like 15 minutes. And I didn't want to go through all the error checking. I'm the only one using this form at the moment, so I know that I'm going to put in valid information. So this program will crash if you try to run it, but I just kind of wanted to showcase how this could work. And then I have convert or create person B, which uses the text boxes for the person B side. And then I have this person class, which right now is a very basic class. It is just has the three private properties, first name, last name, and age, the three public properties, first name, last name, and age, a default constructor, and a constructor that accepts the first name, last name, and age. And just to kind of showcase, all that information is there. I just have it minimized to save on Visual Space. So what I want to do now is I am going to go ahead and write the operator write the method that overloads the addition operation. And we're going to do that by, what I want to do with this is I want to combine the two first names and combine the two last names and then add the age together. And that's what I'm going to do with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a public static, and generally speaking, anytime that we do an addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division operator overload, we need to return the same class that we started with. So for instance, this is my person class. I need to return a person from an overloaded mathematical operator. And we're just going to accept person A and person B. So we're accepting two people into this. We're adding A plus B, and this doesn't have to be person A and person B. It can be whatever persons you want to create with your program. I just have mine labeled as person A and person B for the ease of generation. And then what I want to do, so like I said, when we add these together, what I want to do is I want to add the first names together with a space between them and add the last names together with a space between them. I could do something else, but that's what I'm going to do for now. And I'm going to add their ages together. So it's going to do something like this. So string first names is going to be string.format. And I'm going to do that. So there's the first name, and I'm going to do A dot first name and B dot first name. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the last names. String dot format. And we do the same thing. We're just going to do like that. A dot last name and B dot last name. And then the int ages is just going to be A dot age plus B dot age. And then I'm going to create a new person that I'll call P. And that's going to be assigned the value of a new person with first names, last names, and age. And then I'm going to return P. So I have created a string that's going to hold the two first names, a string that's going to hold the two last names, and then I'm going to add the ages together. And then I'm going to create a person with that information, and then return that person. And that is ages, not age. And then I'm going to return that person. So whenever I come back here to this, and I'm going to create an event handler for the add. I now have an event handler. So what I want to do is I'm going to create two people. So I already have my create person A and person B. So I'm going to say person A is assigned the value of create person A, and person B is create person B. And that's why I created these methods. Instead of going through and doing this each time I wanted to do an overload operator, I wanted to go ahead and just have these methods already written. That way I don't have to constantly go back and create a new person each time I do this with the information of the form. And then I want to do, we're going to say person P is A plus B. So I have my two people, my two persons, A plus B, and whenever I pass in this plus operator, it's going to call the plus operator here and use person A and person B. Now, I could have easily called these C and D and did C plus D here. I only use A and B for, oops, that should be a D. I'm only using A and B for ease of use, but it doesn't really matter what we call them. They could be person A, person B, person 1, person 2. So I'm going to stick with A and B just because it's easier to recognize. And then I'm actually going to add a quick method to the person class. That's going to be public string show person. And really that's just going to return string.format. And we're going to do 0, 1, 2. I'll put a little dash in between here. And that's going to be this dot first name, this dot last name, this dot age to string, which I don't even think we need the to string, but it's there nonetheless. Okay. Let me go ahead and put this on multiple lines. It's a little easier to read. And now we have an easy way to showcase a person. So whenever we do this, we're going to say LBL BL output dot text is equal to P dot show person. And let's go ahead and run this. As it's loading. Okay. Again, it showed up on the wrong screen. So let's just go with John. I didn't set my tab indexes, sorry. John Smith will be 52. And Jane Doe will be 17. So what I should see here is John James Smith Doe 69 should be my output. And there I go, John James Smith Doe 69. Because it concatenated the first names, it concatenated the last names, and then it created a person with the age that is uh, the 52 plus 17. And we could clear this up a little bit. Let me go ahead and I'm going to change this a little bit. So I'm going to say, instead of doing this, we're going to say first name do a new line, say last name, new line, and then age. There, that might look a little bit better. Let's try that. Do not know why this keeps opening on the wrong screen. All right, so we'll say John Smith is 52, and Jane Doe is 17 again. And we're going to add them together. And there we go. First name is John Jane. The last name is Smith Doe. Age is 69. Okay, so that is how we can use the addition operator. And the subtraction operator is very much the same. The only thing is, it's going to be really hard to subtract names. So what we need to do is come up with a different plan on how we're going to overload this. So let's just say public static person. And we'll say operator minus. And again, this is going to accept 2 persons. And we are going to say string first name, and we'll just set that equal to a dot first name. String last name is going to be b dot last name. And then int age is going to be a dot age minus b dot age. And we're going to create a new person again. New person with first name, last name, age. Return P. Okay. So we'll go ahead and we'll try and run this again real quick. Should open up on the right screen. John Smith, 52. Jane Doe, 17. Okay, so again, I should see person A's first name, person B's last name. I'm going to get John Doe, and then 15 minus 17 should be our subtraction. And I didn't do anything because I forgot to put in my information here. So instead of doing all that, we're just going to do minus. And now we can run it. I forgot my event handler. So once again, we're going to run it. Just getting ready for it to open on the wrong screen, which it did again. John Smith, 52. Jane Doe, 17. And again, we're going to add it. Adding, we get the same thing. And name John Doe, age 35. And we could do things a little bit differently. Just to have it kind of make something make a little bit more sense. We don't even need to have the actual person's names here. We could actually do something along the lines of the difference between a dot first name and b dot first name is. So what this is going to say is the difference between a first name and b first name is, and then it's going to say the age whenever we do the show statement, just to kind of showcase how we could change up and not necessarily have to use the information. So we are going to have John Smith, 52, Jane Doe, 17, and subtract them. The difference between John and Jane is, and I probably should add a space there, but I think we get the idea of what's going on. And that way, if the show person method just did like I had it before, where it just said 0, 1, and 2 without the first name, last name, and age, then it would say the difference between John and Jane is 17 years. So those are just a way that we can overload the plus and minus operator. We can also overload the multiplication operator in much the same way. And the division, I'll just go ahead and do the division real quick because that's probably an easy one to come up with what we would want to do. So we would do person A and person B. And let's see, so what we're going to do is we're going to take string dot first name is, oh, we'll just stick with A first name, and last name is B last name. And then we want to take the average of the two, so what we could do is say int age is going to be A.age plus B.age divided by, and actually, no. Here's another interesting thing that we could do, but I'll get to that here in a second. We're going to divide that by 2. Let me go and scroll down a little bit. Then, of course, we're going to create our new person. Is a new person with first name, last name, and age. Returning P. So another thing that we could do, honestly, since we are just adding the ages here, if we really, really wanted to, we could create a new person here. We already have the plus operator, and we could say person C is equal to A plus B. And since A plus B, adding that gives us the age, the addition of the age, we could just do C plus A, or C age. Both of those are going to work. I'm going to stick with doing it this way. There's no real reason to create a whole new person out of this, but it is something that you could do if you have the operators written for that. And then once you have that, we can run this again. Probably should just put some default information in here for my form. That would have saved a little bit of time. So John Smith, 52. Jane Doe, 17. So whenever I divide these people, it's not going to do anything because I didn't do my event handler. Person A is create person A. Person B is create person B. Person C is A divided by B. And we want to do label, no, not that. Label output text is equal to C show person. Okay. So, I guess I didn't change the name of that button. That's bad programming on my behalf. So, we're going to have John Smith, 52. Jane Doe, 17. And then we're going to divide John Doe, age 34. If you add, 52 and 17 together, you get 69. 69 divided by 2 is 34.5, but because we're using integers, it rounds down or truncates. So we are getting the right age there. We're using integers as an age, so there's not really a way for us to round it properly, but that, that's neither here nor there. I think we all have the thing now. Another thing that we can do when overloading these operators is we can accept something other than the same two classes. I'm going to minimize you. So we could actually do a public static person operator times person A and an int that we'll just call number. So I'm not even accepting a second person this time. So I can't do a times b anymore, but I can do a times another number. And what we're going to do is we're just going to say int age is a dot age times number. And then we're going to create our new person. And it's just going to be a dot first name, a dot last name, and age. So it's going to use this age value here instead of the age of the person. Return p, and then create the event handler for that. And we only need the one person here. Person A is create person A. And we'll say our int number is 5. Person C is a times number. What text is C show person. Another button I didn't name, evidently. Did name some of my other buttons, didn't I? I named button add. I didn't add rename, subtract, multiply, divide. So my fault on that. Did I run the application? Maybe not. So we'll go ahead and we'll run this application. And all we really need here is person A. We don't need person B, although I'll fill it out just to keep in the habit, I guess. And so now we can add and subtract. Oh, 52. So we can add, we can subtract, we can divide to get the average, and we can multiply just to get whatever John Smith's age will be after he's aged 5 times his current age. So those are just some things that we can do, and that's how we overload the operators. We could also do a modulus. We can overload that one just as easily. And again, I would probably do something similar to this, which would just be the age modulus, the other age, just to get a remainder, but not necessary. So that's just something that we could do. So the other thing that I'm going to showcase now real quick is how we overload the equality operators of our class. So we've overloaded all the mathematic operators, or at least most of the mathematic operators, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to overload the equality operators. We want to see if two items are equal or not. So let's start with direct equality. So again, we're going to do a public static. Now the difference between equality operation and mathematical operation is in equality operation we need to return a boolean and not a person object, because we're determining whether or not something is equal to, is it greater than, is it less than or equal to, is it not equal to. We're determining all of these things. So what we want to do is we want to return a true or false. And generally speaking, we are probably going to return, we're going to look at two people here to see, or two of the same object, to see if they are in fact equal. We don't have to do it that way. We could check an object versus like an integer or something like that, but the chances of it being actually the same is quite a bit different. It doesn't really work the same. So what I really want to do is, for the equality, I really just want to see if the person is the same age as the other person. So when we do something like this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to return A age is equal to B age. And that's going to check the age of person A and the age of person B, and if they're the same, it's going to return true or false based on that. Now, in the text, it goes through some other options. I'm just kind of trying to look through it real quick. So, if object equals, return true, else return false, return P1 equals P2. Okay, I see what it's saying. So I guess this is a more thorough way of doing this. So we could say if object equals a null. So basically, if a is null, then we want to see if b is also no or null. So if object equals b null, then we're going to return true. Else, return false. So if we have object A or person A, if that is actually a null person, and if person B is a null person, we want to turn true. But if person A is null and person B is not null, then we want to return false. If only one of them is null, we want to return false. If person A is not null, then we want to return A equals B. So what this is going to do is it's going to look at every part of person A and return if it is the same thing as person B. So let me go ahead and comment this out real quick. And we'll just kind of show how this works. So let me go ahead and assign the equality operator. And I'm just going to say boolean. Oh, let me go and create my people. Person A is create person A. And person B is create person B. And then we're just going to say boolean is A equal to B. And say if is it output they match, else, oops, I gotta fix something real quick up there, they don't. Okay, and this needs to be assignment. Okay, so now if I come in here and run this, right now they're both going to be null. I'm going to be creating two null people basically. Then we get to open on the right screen. No. So okay. So one thing about equality operators, whenever we create one, so for equality we have to create the opposite for inequality. So public static bool operator not equals person A, person B. And the opposite ones are actually really easy because all we need to do is return not A is equal to B. So basically we're going to take whatever the value is for A is equal to B, which is done by this operator, and then we're just going to reverse that to a not. So basically if they are equal, this is going to return a true, and if this is true, then this is a not, so it's not true. Okay, now we should be able to run this. Let's see, it still opens on the wrong screen. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Okay, so if I do this now, equality, because I did not create, okay, that's what I did. Okay, so because I didn't parse the information, it crashed whenever I gave it no information. So I'll go ahead and run it again. We'll go ahead and we'll stick with John Smith at 52. Sorry about that. Okay, so we had John Smith, and we will have Jane, I cannot type. Okay, so now if we check for equality here, it should say that they don't match, because they don't match. All the other stuff still works, good, but they don't match. So the way that we could show that they do match is I need to go ahead and replace all the information, because I didn't do the age on this one, I actually did full equality. And why don't they match now? Okay, that is strange. They should match now. And I think I actually know why. So I think what it's comparing is it's saying these are not the actual same object. So because they're actually different objects, it's not going to return that. Anyway, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go back to what I had originally done, which was return whether or not the ages are the same. And that's how I'm going to compare my equality. So let me go back and we'll rerun this again. And so if I come up here now, and it shouldn't matter what I put, John Smith at 52 and Jane Doe at 17. So now if I check equality, it should say they don't match. But if I now check at the same age, they do match. So that's just how we can check equality. And greater than, less than, equal to, all that is pretty much the same. Again, you just have to kind of return, whenever you do one, you have to do the other. So on my form design, I have greater than and then less than or equal to. So to do the greater than, I'm going to minimize this one again real quick. So to do the greater than, we're just going to do a public, oh, that's not it. Public static Boolean operator greater than, and again we're going to do person A and person B. And all I'm really going to do, I could do the whole whether or not it's greater than or less than or whatever, with the, or the equals to and everything else. We're just going to do return A age greater than B age. And if A is older than B, we're going to be true. Again, we see that we need to have, we have a red squiggly line because we have to have the less than operator assigned. So we're going to do, we already done greater than, we need to do less than. Person A and person B. And again, we're just going to return A age is less than B age. So now we can do greater than or less than again. So we need to go ahead and do a greater than here. And I'm pretty much going to do everything that I did before. We're just going to copy all of that. And paste it there. Let me scroll just a little bit. Except instead of doing less than, we're going to do greater than. And then just to finish it off without having to jump back and forth, let me go ahead and do the last two operators, which is going to be greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. The one that I have on my form is the less than or equal to. So that's what I'm going to write. Person A and person B. And we're going to return. So, and here's one thing, another little shortcut that you can think about. Because we already have a greater than value and we're checking the same values, we're still going to check age, we can actually just return the not value of the greater than, and that will give us the less than or equal to. So we can return not A greater than B. And then we can do the exact same thing for greater than or equal to with person A and B. We're going to return not A is less than B. Because if you think about it, if the values are equal, then they're not going to be greater than. If B is less than A, B cannot be greater than A. And the same thing with the greater than or equal to. If A is less than B, it cannot be equal to B and it cannot be greater than B. So by doing it, this little kind of shortcut with the nots here, there's just kind of a shorthand way of doing this. So I'm just going to kind of minimize all these things just for kind of some clarity on how it all, so we can look at things as we need to. And then I'm just going to add the thing here. And we're just going to copy all this information down. Copy. and we're going to use less than or equal to. This still says they match and they don't match. That's all right. So, run it one last time. And so again, we're going to do John Smith, 52, Jane Doe, 17. So we can add them, we can subtract them, we can multiply them, we can divide them. We can check for equality. They don't match because person A is older. They match because person A is older than person B. Less than or equal to, they don't because person A is not less than or equal to person B. If I change person B's age, it is no longer, it's still not greater than, but it is less than or equal to. And same thing if I switch this, again, so everything is now seemingly working as it's supposed to. And that is pretty much it for operator overloading. This lesson did take a little bit longer than I was kind of expecting it would, but I did want to showcase each and every way to overload. Your assignment, if I remember correctly, does ask you to overload the addition operator. Normally, if you're creating a program or something like that, you would overload all of the operators if you're going to overload one. So because you want to make sure you have addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, equality, inequality, and any other operation that you can think of that you would want to do. And if you were using and going back into what is that? But again, I think this pretty much covers everything for operator overloading. I hope this kind of made sense and helped clear some things up. So I think if there's nothing, I can't think of anything else. So best of luck this week. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. That's what I'm here for. So have a good week.